have a very special guest on the podcast today. You're sure to recognize her from the season 3 episode, Those Better Not Be the Days, where she plays adult Kimmy Gibbler. Rhonda Shear is with us today. She is an actress, an entrepreneur, a former beauty queen, a stand-up comedian, and author of her memoir, Up All Night. We can't wait to talk to her about her time on Full House, plus all of the other amazing things that she's accomplished in her career, which is just absolutely mind-blowing. Everyone, please put your hands together for Rhonda.
Welcome to the show. We are so happy to have you here.
I'm so glad you agreed to this.
Oh, I followed you around when you were a little girl.
I know. It's been 36 years, 37 years? Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So how old were you when I was trying to think how old you were in that episode? I mean, I remember meeting your mom, and then my whole week was following you around to get your mannerisms. I mean, all of us. It was so fun.
I remember that. I was 13 during that episode. Jody must have been 7-ish?
Yeah, I think it was about 7. Yeah.
About 7. And I remember, the 3 or 4 adult versions of us working with us, trying to, like you said, get the lines down, the intonation, the mannerisms.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, I remember that.
And it's funny because I've done impressions of people through the years in my stand-up and comedy, but not that I'm impressious, but just little bits and pieces where it's all older people, but not a young lady or child. It was fun. And old Jeff Franklin cast me. He was a friend back in the day. And I went out with him a couple of times, like everybody else in Hollywood. That did not help my career. I love Jeff. I love Jeff.
We do too. We all love Jeff.
He
just got engaged. He just got engaged. Congratulations, Jeff.
He was a gentleman. I love him. He was great. My kid, brilliant. And I have a book. And
look at that. Your memoir.
Testimonial and the inside. And you will love the testimonial, Andrea. It was, I cast Ronda to play Kimmy Gibbler on Full House because I thought she was hilarious and headed for greatness. I was right, Jeff Franklin. And award winner, creator of Full House and Fuller House. Good guy. He was really sweet to do that. He was really sweet. And so you see, you've been part of my life too. So
that makes me so happy.
With all those sitcoms and guest shows that I did through the 80s and 90s, definitely Full House was the one that people remember and they talk about. Oh, I remember that episode with the kids grown up.
Yeah.
So it's really funny. But a couple of things I've done that stand out over everything else. I had one line in Spaceballs, then with you guys, and of course, other shows I've done, but that people remember. And when the residuals come, instead of 3 cents, like most of my shows, I think it's like around $8 to $10. So
right. Whoa. Sometimes it's a nice little surprise. Sometimes you might be able to buy yourself a coffee. Maybe.
Wow. That baller right there.
Not anyone else, but you. Right. Only if it's like just a black brewed coffee these days. But yeah.
But I have to congratulate you guys because I know you probably didn't know that at your tender young ages, but to be on a show that is truly part of pop culture and American history, much like when I grew up, I watched the reruns of Lucy, but that's what you guys are like. As iconic as I Love Lucy. And then, of course, my growing up was Barbara Eden. And when I met Barbara Eden from My Dream of Jeannie, I almost fainted and I interviewed her many times, but she was so sweet. But you all, that's the kind of show. I'm sitting here with 2 young ladies that I work with because I'm in another industry. Tiptoeing back in acting though. Yeah. And they're like, oh my gosh, I grew up with them. I love them. They're turning red right now.
It really is crazy to think like how much of an impact, we talk about this all the time, how much of an impact Full House had, and then obviously still coming back with Fuller House. But not only that, but like you said, this is one of the roles that you get recognized for often. It's so many guest stars have come back and said, this is the thing that people know me as, or this is and it's been like 1 episode or maybe 2 episodes. And they're like, this is what I get recognized for because people,
so good.
They're just so excited about the show.
It meant a lot because for me, for so many reasons, getting cast. Well, at the time I was doing I started doing stand-up in like 83, 84. So I knew Dave and I knew Saget, who I still can't keep beyond that.
Yeah.
Lost, but I knew Dave. And I just knew them from the stand, being at the Improv and the Laugh Factory. Comedy Store and seeing them there. And I dated for a long time, a stand-up. So that was part of the group. So it was just very cool on the set with them. And I was, making my way in a world where there wasn't still too many women. Now
I was gonna say the stand-up world is not there's not a lot of women in it, but once you kind of find, and back then even more specifically,
really bad, especially
very much a boys' club,
wearing big hair and boobs, and they
right. Well, and that was it was like you kind of had to do that to be like, I'm gonna get in the door with this and then be funny on the other,
and they didn't know what to do with me, but as long as I was making the audience laugh, I wasn't, I knew that you had to win the women over first, and then they're gonna allow
exactly.
But I mean, but when people told me I couldn't do it, then I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it anyway. So I love doing stand up and I love comedy, and sitcom always my favorite thing. And to this day, it was my dream when I moved out to LA was to get that, to have that sitcom.
Sitcom life is great. I always say it's the most 9 to 5 of this business. Where, you know what I mean? If you can get a sitcom that lasts for a few years, you're like, it's kind of the sweet spot. It really is.
The best of everything, because you rehearse for a week. And then you put on a live play.
Yeah.
And so you've got the theater part, you've got the TV part. And back then, before all the, everything streaming, TV, I mean, that was the way you watched everything. And when I moved to LA, I moved there for television and not film. And then I ended up, hosting films on USA Up All Night. And it's so funny, I could have done all those horror films and all those B films because of all the producers that came on the show. And I was like, no, I just want to do a sitcom.
Right? Yeah, you're like, nah, I don't want to scream. I just want to be funny. For people that don't know, you're an actress, you're a comedian, you're a writer, you're an incredible entrepreneur. I mean, the list just goes on. You've really accomplished so much in your career. It's really incredible, and you've been around for since the 80s doing this successfully. And I'd love to go back to the very beginning and talk a little bit. At what age did you know that you wanted to be on a sitcom? Or no, what age did you know you wanted to be an actor? Did you have family support, or was it?
What? And probably you all might have the same similar stories. I was a shy child, so I actually pushed myself to do things, and actually humor really helped me through a lot of things. Later on, I'll jump ahead for a minute, because you all were in that same, of course you were stars, but the pre-Me Too movement.
Right.
If it wasn't for humor and me cracking jokes, it would have been a lot harder for me, because nothing turned off a guy faster trying to make a pass than making jokes. So I had this outward look of sexy, or the bombshell thing. I ended up using it because I couldn't fight it. I could never play the girl next door. So I just went with it eventually. But the truth of the matter is I was nothing like that girl. I mean, I wanted to be the smart dumb blonde, but the humor is what got me through a lot of moments. I mean, I didn't have a lot of moments. I never took a meeting in a hotel room. Not that I wasn't asked, but it was, I always had someone with me if I didn't know what was going on or wasn't sure of an audition. But going back to your original story, is I'm from New Orleans, and I started doing commercials, and then I entered pageants because I wanted to become a choreographer. So I actually did it, a dance experience. I mean, the talent portion. I started winning. I won Miss Louisiana, won different pageants, and one thing led to another. And then I'm asked to do local acting, and then that bug bit me. And then when I went to college, I stayed in school. I stayed in town, rather, in New Orleans. I went to Loyola, and kept acting then in communications. I didn't know if I wanted to be a newscaster or an actress. And then through a weird thing, and I'll tell you this because it's kind of a funny story, and you'll probably get a kick out of that time period. I posed for Playboy with all my clothes on in 1978. It was insane. They came through New Orleans doing Girls of the New South, and I was just curious and wanted to meet a Playboy photographer. So then I get in front of him, and I'm like, I know I'm wasting your time. I'm not taking off any of my clothes. He goes, no, we always shoot people with their clothes on. I don't know if it'll make the magazine. If it makes it, you're going to get $275. And I'm like, okay. So I shot, in a very Southern New Orleans setting. It made the magazine. I was reigning as a queen of something social society, not a beauty queen, but like something my parents had put up money for, which is very New Orleans.
Right.
They dequeened me because of the connotation of being in the magazine. I had all my clothes.
That was what happened. I mean, with who was it? Vanessa.
Yes.
The Miss.
Who won Miss America? Yes. But she didn't have clothes. Not that that mattered.
Right. But still, yeah, that was I mean, that was the thing. If you were, if
horrible.
you didn't fit into the box that people wanted you to, or you were,
Especially
not
down,
too sexy or too this or too, then that's it. You're not this.
Absolutely. And that was down south. Well, I guess I've always had a little mischief in my blood. And the guy that was head of the Floral Trail Society of New Orleans, well, he was running for public office. So I had just graduated from college and I threw my hat in the ring and ran against him. Initially, it was just to irritate him.
I love it.
I love this. This is excellent.
I got into it and I lost by 100 votes. And then I think I'm a politician. So I applied for law school, got in, and then I just took a break. I'm like, I really want to go to LA. And I asked my parents, can I just go there for 3 months? And I went to LA and enrolled in the American Academy of Dramatic Arts because my parents had to see me in a school setting.
Right.
And then you guys are so young, but you'll remember, I think I got cast in a Bob Hope special and a Happy Days, and things happened really fast for me. And that was it. 26 years later, until my first love, first kiss, first everything reached out to me through classmates.com. Van Fagan, my first boyfriend from junior high from New Orleans.
Oh, wow. And we talk about junior high all the time on this show.
And
the
you
memories
married him.
First love. So here I'm dating all these. I was with a really talented comic for many years, and I hid behind my boyfriend. I kind of used them as shields, like I'm taking my boyfriend to that, so that was probably good or bad. But I never married. I just never felt I found the right person. I would picture my clothes in their house and nothing ever fit, or it didn't work. And I really was shy. Comedy, I pushed myself to do that.
Right.
And actually it did help for many reasons. It put me in.
I find a lot of comedians tend to, it's interesting because they can be so big and so, on stage, and then oftentimes you meet them and they're a little more quiet or a little more reserved, or just not quite as overly friendly or what they're, comics tend to be people who are like very much in here the whole time. And then like they can let it out and then they're like, okay, now back in here.
It's in front of the mic. It's in front of the mic. You had this power to be anything in front of,
it doesn't feel like
behind the mic, rather behind the mic.
Right.
It was just very free. And I started an improv in Harvey Lembeck's class. I love comedy and I love physical comedy. But anyway, I didn't run for office. Went out there 26 years, and I was working actress all 26 years, so that was really good. Had my SAG insurance all the way through.
That's great.
Right?
That's success.
Right. That's really all that us as actors want. We're like, just let me afford the insurance.
I guess the only mistake I made was when I did USA Up All Night. I have to do that in case my family's watching. I used my own name instead of using a character name like Cassandra Peterson used Elvira.
Right.
So getting off of the show, casting directors were like, well, who are you that, they just didn't know what to do with me. But that's okay. At that age, I was like then 40 and I'm thinking, my mother was like, are you ever getting married? Are you going to have a child? Well, anyway, long story short, I did end up marrying Van, but you'll love me. I went to New Orleans to go back home to visit my parents, and he was from New Orleans. So he was living in Lafayette, Louisiana. I was living in New Orleans. I said, I'm going to visit my mother. I was having a fight with this guy that I had a few dates with, and saw some potential with him, but it didn't work out. I said, well, I'm leaving. I'm going to see my mom in New Orleans. And I just wanted to irritate Van because I had just come off of TV. I was feeling really good about myself. I was thin, and he was the only guy who really broke my heart at 15 years old. He broke my heart. And so I'm like, I'm just going to show this guy. He had been watching me on TV. I had no idea what he looked like.
Right.
I hadn't seen him in 25 years. Lo and behold, he walks into my mom's house. 15 days later, we eloped.
Wow. What a love story.
It was like, you know what it was? And I will relate to this too. He was such a man. And I was used to dating, I love comics, but, he would fight me for mirror time in the bathroom, or, it was like, if I got a job over him, because in stand-up, I could headline over him, then he'd be upset. But here's a guy who's
narcissists. No, sorry. Yep.
He was this real man who he was just different. And but then we're like, he's living in Lafayette, I'm living in Beverly Hills. So now what? So, and that's when Terry Groves, our dear makeup artist friend, you're not going to ever stay with him. Never. You're never going to leave LA. You're never. I mean, she liked Van, but she just didn't think I would ever leave LA.
Right.
And I'm not a quitter. And we started this intimate apparel business, never thinking it would go anywhere. We just did it literally to work together because we hadn't seen each other. And 22 years later, we're the largest intimate apparel brand on Home Shopping and QVC, and we continue all over the world. So,
Yeah, I have
I
heard
have to send
many.
you stuff so I can send you some of my
yes.
pretty.
Yes, they are super comfortable, and they're like, Terry has told me all about them, and I'm always like, I love.
Oh, you guys are going to get huge packages.
Yay.
Oh yes. Oh my God, I can't wait. But I just love to see women who like you who have gone through their lives and been like, oh, you're going to tell me what I can't do? I'm going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do that. And I like being one of those women myself. I just really, I have great admiration for.
And I know your story, and I know your leadership. I know both. I mean, I've followed both of you all, and it's amazing. And what you're doing right now on this podcast, which people love, which is amazing. But no, I was told no. I was to this or to that in LA. I couldn't run for office, and I did. I couldn't be a stand-up because I looked a certain way.
Right.
I couldn't, even when my husband and I started the business, like, you can't start an intimate apparel business. You guys have never been in fashion, but I'd always designed my own costumes and things, but you can't do it because there's too much other competition. I'm like, no, I will do it my own way. And the one thing I think beauty pageants taught me, or pageants back in the day, is that as many gorgeous women as there was and talented in LA, as I never looked left or right. I just did my own thing. I did with myself. I never said, oh my gosh, look at her on audition. I'll never get this role. And that's what you have to do, is just be yourself.
Smart.
Yeah.
Just
I think that's such a huge piece of advice, is like, it's not about looking like, am I better than this person, worse than this person? What do you want? Like, you're so much happier because there's always going to be someone more or better or this or that, whatever. Fine.
yes.
But like, I'm not trying to compete to be them. I'm just trying to be me, and that's such a great lesson, is like, just be you and do it well. Whatever you are, do that.
And I think that was the reason why I stayed there and had at least that level of success and loved acting and loved working. And what's funny now is that, I don't know, I guess all the people that grew up with me, and you got another thing that you all relate to. Well, you went back and did Fuller House, so they got double doses of you guys, triple, double, more than that.
Right.
It's like all of a sudden I'm getting asked to do all these conventions and movie hosting shows and acting. I did one film last year, another one this year, and I never looked for it. And I'm like, I'm not going to audition. I'm scared of that. I don't know how to do that. I just signed with an agent out of Atlanta. So it's like, oh my gosh, this will be so wild if it all goes full circle. But when you're not as hungry for it, then it kind of happens, because then you don't care as much,
Well, it becomes more of a like, I'm doing this because I enjoy it, not because I need it to somehow fulfill me and my ego or who I am as a person. It's like, I get to do this, not I have to do this in order to be a full human.
I love it. We have to go. I know. You have to talk about the episode we were on.
That's what we are I was just about to ask. I was like, I love all of this backstory, but I know what people really want to hear about is Kimmy Gibbler. And I will let you two take that, because
Kimmy Gibbler, who, oh my gosh. I got, I do a little show on Thursdays every night. They're called Rhonda Shear Social Hour. I run old things. I do interviews. I got to get you guys both on here.
Yes, that would be so fun.
But I knew all the girls. Melanie Vince, who I think she dropped out of showbiz. She was gorgeous. She and I did a bunch of episodics together.
Okay.
She was DJ. And then I knew Jane, ended up meeting and marrying
Dave.
Oh, Dave, yeah. Jane
Dave.
Modine, yeah.
Dave. Like, have a senior moment there.
Mm-hmm.
Married Dave. I mean, I don't know if they stayed married, but
no.
But you know what? 2 shows I did a Happy Days, and one of the girls married one of this Donnie Most got married off of that show, and then like, maybe I'm the Cupid. I go on these shows and married off of them.
It's true. You have the energy.
But that was really amazing. That was like so much fun to do, and to be Kimmy Gibbler. I'm sorry. I feel like I will always carry a little piece of Kimmy in me. More so now than ever.
That. You were so perfect for the role, and it was so redeeming for me, because I was the nerdy little neighbor, the one that nobody wanted around. And so the idea that I grew up to be this bombshell, this lady that suddenly the guys are like, we need to be nice to Kimmy Gibbler, that was very validating for me.
That was a very funny, very action, that scene, just that scene with all of us was so special. It did a lot. It said a lot. I mean, them playing older was just, I mean, just classic physical comedy with the wig flying around with John Stamos. It was just a classic. And, I don't remember every show that I was on in terms of physically being there, but I can put myself in that scene and remember it very well. I remember doing it. So
really,
yes. And it was a little bit late. I think it was like the later 80s.
89.
I can't remember exactly.
Yeah,
89, 90.
like 89. Yeah.
Because that was right before I would have done Up All Night. So I was a little bit older than some of the shows that I did in the, when I first got there in the 80s, early 80s. So yeah, it was just a blast for me. And I thought that everybody nailed it. I thought Melanie Vince nailed it. I thought Jay nailed it. I mean,
it was it was so fun for us to watch, like what the characters would be when they got older.
Well,
it was
funny to see how they dressed the older versions of us. Like, of course, Kimmy had like a colorful, slinky little dress on, but like Jane as Michelle had the little ponytail on the top, and she was like, "I got it, dude." Yeah. So funny. Right. The way they dressed you guys.
I looked at the clip this morning just because it's all over. You could just pull up that clip and it'll come up.
Oh yeah.
And it just made me laugh. I mean, it was really fun. And I guess I was definitely dressed 80s. They didn't, Okay, so now I'm really mad at Jeff Franklin for not aging you out into your great grandparents, and then I could trade you.
Right? We could have done that on Fuller House. We should have. Yeah, we could have just.
Let's go back.
Right.
Let's go back
in time. We make it like it's like 1823 or whatever, or 1923, the Yellowstone thing. We're just gonna start jumping around in different time frames of.
You guys could keep doing this show forever, and you would be beloved. I mean, truly.
It's true.
It's just one of those shows that hits everybody. It reaches out to all ages. It's just a perfect show.
Thank you.
Don't have, yeah.
Had you watched the show before you attempted to play Kimmy,
I did watch the show. Of course, I did my homework too, a little, but I did watch the show. So I was, it was so popular. I mean, my goodness. So yeah, I think it was pretty much, and was that also around the time? You'll have to remind me of my shows. I loved Full House. Was Dallas or Dynasty on, or were they?
Oh yeah. Mid to late 80s. Yep.
The late 80s. I love those shows. They were just so soapy.
The nighttime soap operas, the Dallas and the Dynasty and the what was there was another one.
Falcon Crest.
Falcon Crest. Yeah.
Popped in my head. Wait.
Yeah.
Another popped in my head. Where some things don't, but that will. Knots Landing.
Yeah.
I didn't watch
Knots Landing. Yeah.
I liked Dynasty.
So many.
And I had a little part of Dallas. But Dynasty, I thought that was just a hoot. I thought all the girls, they were
so many shoulder pads. Shoulder pads really kept that show afloat in more ways than one. You know what I mean? It was
it's coming back. It's a bad
shoulder pads.
Okay, so I am even though I'm in bras, we are in the fashion industry.
Right.
And shoulder pads. I don't think it'll be the frizzy big hair, but bigger hair, fuller hair is coming.
Right.
Next episode, you guys. Fuller hair.
Well, I'm shit out of luck there because I've got 3 strands of hair on my head. So,
They have all kinds of stuff for that. You're so beautiful. And I have seen some really gorgeous, I don't know what you shot for, but Terry showed me some gorgeous pictures of you.
Well, Terry, I give all credit to Terry and Anna Maria who do my hair and makeup because it ain't looking like this. You know what I mean?
You are both young. You're both still so young, but you both look like you're in your teens.
Thank you. It's a special filter for the Zoom that we use.
The entire Full House cast, we really, all of that strange Wiccan magic that we did to remain young has really paid off. It's really
no, but I really believe that. When people, I just tell people that say, "Well, you look younger." I'm like, that's because I have 2 stepchildren and I have grandchildren, but I didn't have biological children. And so I feel like I remained completely immature.
Well, what's funny is I have biological children and I'm still incredibly immature. So I don't know that anything really changes other than the fact that eventually you look at them and you go, I think I'm supposed to be doing better than this. And then by that time they're almost 18. You go,
well, I tried.
Tried it,
I can't believe you're a mom. I just can't.
I have 16 and almost 14-year-old daughters.
Amazing. Are they in the industry?
No. My younger one is more of the performer. She goes to performing arts school and sings and dances and loves all that. She wants to do like musical theater stuff and singing. My older one is more of an athlete, and she is also very creative with like makeup and hair. Like she loves doing that kind of stuff. So I'm always telling her like maybe Terry can take you as an apprentice. But yeah, they're both very, very different, but not in it professionally. Just because I just don't think either of them had the focus at the time, even though like particularly for my younger one, it was really what she loved to do. She just, I don't think was she was a kid. And, you know, for us, it was like, I know what it takes. Like you kind of have to be weirdly mature and weirdly able to like put your own needs second. And most kids don't do that, which is
amazing.
fine.
When I look back at the show that, you know, that you guys did as children, to have that kind of focus. Even when I went to LA, I treated it like a business, because I felt like my parents helped me get there, and I wasn't going to keep living off of them. So I had, every day I was doing something else. And back then you could drop off pictures and resumes on, not put it. Yeah, you could do, and I had Rolodexes back in the day of names, and I would literally work that. I never wanted to waste a day feeling like, oh, I'm just luxuriating in LA. So I treated it as a business, because it is a business. And you guys being on the set, I mean, you had fun, you were a family. But at the same time, I mean, my gosh, all the lines that you guys had too, as kids. And then you had parents there, right?
Our guardians.
And I remember
our moms were there every day.
Andrea, I remember meeting your mom.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure she has a Polaroid picture. She took Polaroids of all the guest stars. Well, everybody on the show, cast and crew. But yeah, no, I'm sure she got a Polaroid of you and asked you your birthday and your name.
Oh my gosh. Now, were you allowed to have your parents on the set? I don't remember that.
Oh, yeah. That was, I mean, you either have to have a parent or a guardian, some sort of legal guardian there. But our moms, my mom, Janice, and Sherry Barber, they were there. Candace's mom, I think was in and out a little bit more, because she was also like dealing with Kirk and doing a couple other things, but she was there most of the time.
Amazing.
Until really you guys got older. But yeah, our moms were there every day and hanging out. And
you know, Broadway, they have I have a friend who her husband is a Broadway wrangler for children.
Yes. Yeah. They have, they don't have, because there's no space. There's no space backstage for parents and extra people to hang out backstage of theaters. Broadway theaters are tiny.
Oh yeah.
And
it could be dangerous. I didn't realize that, but they explain that. So the moms drop them off, the wrangler takes care of them. They do school. What was it like? Now ask you, what was it like going to school on the set? Did you have to do that?
We did. We actually did both. So we got to go to like public school. Yeah. At least I did. I went to school in the morning and then came in to work in the afternoon on rehearsal days. And then 2 days a week did full on-set schooling. But I had like a little bit of both.
And memorize lines.
That was the easy part. As kids, you're like sponges. So the memorization just comes to you. And we're rehearsing all week too. So it's just like by osmosis. Right. You just absorb it and regurgitate it.
But you know what? It's amazing. And I know you had great directors, but you guys had great comedy skills and understanding jokes. Kids understanding, how to make a joke work. That just blew me away, to be so young. I mean, I think young actors just blow me away. It was just something I didn't do as a child.
Right. So it's definitely like I said, there's a very particular, I think, temperament that makes for a successful child actor in this business, which is someone who is kind of willing to like show up and work hard, even if they don't feel great or feel like it, but who loves what they do. Not every kid, a lot of kids are like, I'm tired. I'm not, no, I'm done.
What happens if like a cold went around the set? Or
show up to work
sick. Was only one time we canceled a taping, and that's because of Jody. When Jody had the flu or something.
Yeah, because I had a 104 fever. I was really, really ill.
Wow.
But yeah, no, every other time there's no sick days in this business. You just show up and you take some Tylenol cold and you work through it and you hope it lasts you through the day, and then you just crash in the car on the way home. Not like crash in the car. I meant fall asleep because my mom was driving. That sounded terrible. No, don't take cold meds and then crash on the way home. That would be bad.
No, but that's amazing. I mean, I don't think people think about those kind of things because, children.
They don't.
they pass germs around very easily. I have a 6-year-old grandson.
Indeed.
And
Yeah.
it passes. So, you're on a set and you guys go
Oh, yeah.
to school and you're passing
And
things
if
around.
the kids, we were sick, the adults, it was, that's just sort of, you know how it is. You're working on set and one person starts going, you're like, oh, great. Here we go. Here we go. Right. Thank you for joining us for another amazing interview. We can't thank Rhonda Shear enough for coming on the podcast to tell us about her life, her career, her entrepreneurship. She's done so many incredible things. So don't forget to tune into part 2 with Rhonda, which is airing this Friday, and we have lots more to talk about. You are going to love this episode. So in the meantime, if you are looking for us on Instagram, you can follow us at How Rude Podcast, or if you want to email us, you can send us an email at howrudepodcast@gmail.com. And also make sure that you are subscribing and liking the podcast wherever you're listening to it so you can get all the newest episodes, like our part 2 of Rhonda's interview, as soon as they drop. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us for another fun episode of How Rude Tanneritos. And remember, I'm going to get it this time.
Okay.
The house is full, but the door's always open.
I saw you look at the chat and you
Okay, I was going to
reading
admit to it. I was going to say I'm reading it out of the chat, but now you called me out on it.
I saw your
Like I
eyes
wasn't gonna
dart
be
to
on-
the side.
Well, I didn't want to. I said because I was going to get it, so I did, right?
You
didn't say I
doubled
read
down.
it.
You had to do it then. Yes, you did a good,
Didn't want
very
to
good,
mess this
Jody.
up. Thank you.
Very good.
Bye.
Bye.